Okay, so it's Teresa Steele again, and I'm coming back. I guess I'm on a roll, so I might as well go ahead and share some of my other thoughts with you. So, I know that I was kind of coined as a single issue candidate when I just ran for state representative for District 51. Again, that's covering all of LaGrange and most of Steuben County. Um, that one issue that was brought up was very important to me, but that wasn't the only reason that I was running. But since that issue still is a topic of concern, I'm going to go ahead and address why I was so against it for people that never had an opportunity to talk with me and just heard one side of it. So anybody that accepts this casino into their community, yes, it was the casino bill, the HB 1038. I was the only one from Steuben County that went down and testified against it at the Senate Public Policy hearing. And the people that were for it from Steuben County, we had a whole crew that went down there. All three of our commissioners, which is Andy Laughlin from the North District, Rick Shipe from the Middle District, and Will Howard from the South District. They were all there. Our mayor, Mayor Dave Martin with Angola, he was there. And the president of our county council, Dan Shipe, Dan Caruso, he was there as well. So both Will and Dan were the ones that testified on behalf of bringing a casino to Steuben County. I was the only one from Steuben County that testified against it. Now that the primary election is over, I am going to be fighting against the casino for all of Northeast Indiana. The community at large for Steuben County, DeKalb County, and Allen County, we don't want a casino in our community. We want the things that make our community special. For us here in Steuben County, it's our lakes. This is our community. That's what draws people here. This is the tourism attraction for Steuben County. Our natural resources, our beautiful lakes. We are known as the 101 Lake County. I want to preserve that. I want to preserve the things that make us good, that bring people here. We have a culture here that is inviting, that welcomes people. We have people coming from Chicago, Detroit, Toledo, Indianapolis, and everywhere in between that come to Steuben County to enjoy the lakes. And they become part of the culture here. When you're out on the lake, everybody is waving at everybody. There's this kindness that just ripples out from the community. And that's what I want to preserve. Bringing a casino here will cause people to be more concerned, more protective. But going back to the bill is now an HEA, House Enrolled Act, so now it's a law, and what it's going to do is, yes, it will give people a voice, but do you really know what that voice means? So what it will do for the communities, it will require that any casino that wants to come to a community has to invest $500 million to improve the site. And that may sound nice and flashy and good, and that's what the people that want to bring the casino want you to believe. However, it also requires that the casino operator would pay the state $150 million. Nothing for the community. That money goes to the state. There's no protections for our community. So back up a little bit. If there's more than one county that votes to bring a casino, more than likely what happens is there's going to be incentives that are offered, and those often come in the way of abatements. So the things that I'm hearing here in Steuben County is, oh, it's going to bring tourism, and it's going to bring tax dollars, and it's going to bring jobs. Okay, well, let's dissect that a little bit. When are those tax dollars coming, and how will they be used? That is not being clarified. So if there's an abatement, you may never see that money, ever. And even if the money does come, how is it going to be applied? They're not clarifying that either. There's no benefit statement. There's no financial statement. There's no impact study that's been done. There was a feasibility study that was conducted that used $37,500 of tax dollars, which they failed to make that clear. But that feasibility study is for the developer, not for taxpayers, not for us to make an informed decision for the referendum come November. That's for the developer to decide, oh, yes, it's possible that we can bring a casino there and make it work. However, the numbers that were the input numbers were very optimistic. They didn't show both the ends of the spectrum. They're assuming that people will drive from 45 minutes away to come to this casino and to work at the casino. However, they're not telling you that there are 3 casinos within an hour. There's the one up in Battle Creek, 45 minutes away. There's South Bend, and there's Toledo. And we have at least half a dozen casinos within 2 hours. They're also not making it clear that the Indiana Gaming Commission had hired Spectrum Gaming Group to do a market analysis, and it found that there were zero unmet needs for a casino in Steuben County. That's 0 unmet needs. What that means is that there would be no new streams of revenue that would come to Steuben County. What it would do is redistribute the revenue that the other casinos, the other surrounding casinos, are receiving. So again, that feasibility study is assuming that people will drive from 45 minutes away. So if they have a casino in their backyard, 15, 20 minutes away, they're going to drive the extra miles to come to a casino here in Steuben County. That doesn't seem likely. Not maybe as a novelty, maybe to start off with, but like sustainable, those aren't sustainable numbers. That's not something that we can rely on. And then the other thing that feasibility study told us is that it would take between 800 and 1,200 employees to operate the casino. It is going to be a resort style casino. Think about it, $500 million of improvements. They're going to have their own restaurants, their own entertainment, their own amenities where people can stay. They're not going to stay at the things that are currently existing here in our community. So, and we don't have the workforce to accommodate that number of employees. So if a large casino operator comes to our community and they have the ability to offer just a little bit more than our small businesses can offer, you know people will leave. People will leave their current employer to go work for this casino operator. There's not going to be any loyalty there. So all this tourism that they're telling you is going to come this way and all this extra traffic, well, even if it came, are you going to have the manpower to serve them? Because one of the things I know about Steuben County is that over 80% of our businesses have less than 10 employees. So what that tells me is over 80% of the businesses here in Steuben County are small businesses. They cannot compete with a large casino operator. And talking about casino operators, one of my concerns is if it is Full House Resorts, their major stakeholders include BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street. If you don't know who they are, you need to look them up. You need to do your own research. They want to turn everybody into renters. They don't care about communities. I care about our community. That's why I ran for for District 51. I care about the community. I want to protect the community. I want to be a voice for the community. Now, I know I'm not a voice for everybody in the community because everybody doesn't see things the way that I do, and that's okay. That's all right. I'm still happy to have those conversations, hear why you feel the way that you feel, but I also would like to have an opportunity to share why I feel the way that I feel and the impact. That's what I look at. I look at the impact, especially sustainable long-term impact on a community. I look at the safety. I look at the burden on taxpayers. I look at affordability. You know, I door knocked on almost 1,000 doors, and the people that I did talk to, that's what their major concern. They weren't concerned about bringing more tourism and adding more traffic to the community. They were concerned about affordability, and that was not what our current representative went down to the state and fought for. You know, the vote for SB1. What that did was take away more tax dollars for our local community. So it seems like there was a trade of loyalties from being a county councilman to being a state representative. So instead of thinking about the county and bringing in more revenue for the county, now it's all about the state. So $150 million for the state. And we elected this person. And voted for him again in this primary, but I don't think people are aware of it. So I'm not like wanting to shun anyone for their vote. I never had an opportunity to talk to a good number of the voters. I did my best. I worked hard. I did have some stumbling blocks that were put in my way by the party. Opportunities that were given to the incumbent who already had name recognition were removed from me. And so I still say that it was pretty amazing, the votes that did come through, and that I think should indicate how hard I did work. We identified a little over 4,000 households that were voters, that were Republicans, and typically voted in the primary during a midterm. So that was my goal, was to knock on all those doors and hear their concerns and share with them why I was running. But to go back to this whole casino issue, here are some of the other concerns that I have. Okay, so before the casino would even come to any community, there are things that have to be addressed. You have to address infrastructure. The casino is not currently required to pay for any off-site infrastructure, whether that be roads, utilities, additional emergency services. Where is that going to come from? Even if you don't go to a casino, because I've heard that from a lot of people. Well, I won't even go to the casino, but you'll still be affected by it. You're still going to have to contribute to paying for the roads and the utilities. And how is that going to affect the cost of utilities? How is that going to affect property values? Are we going to have more emergency services? Likely we will. So talking to the sheriff candidates, what they had shared with me, for each new deputy that they bring on the force, that's between $100,000 and $125,000. Because you have to pay for their salary, their compensation, their vehicle, their equipment, their training, and that doesn't go away. And that's for one, and that's only police. Now, what I've been told is, oh, we're not going to see an uptick in crime. Okay, but nothing to support that. Now, I talked to state police, and they're like, yes, you absolutely will see an uptick in crime. And I have looked at the data, and it does support that. However, I would think that most people would not even need to look at the data. I encourage you to go look at it. However, think about it. Casinos are predatory. They benefit from this. That's why they want to come and they want to siphon all of the revenue from your community. And, you know, it won't stay here, because they often are not headquartered here. So all of their profit will go out of state. But going back to the fact that casinos are predatory. Somebody has to lose in order for somebody else to win, and the house always wins. The other thing is, wherever there's money and gambling, there's greed. And where there's greed, there's theft, there's violence, there's drugs, there's human trafficking. It attracts a certain demographic. Now, there might be a lot of you that don't see the stuff that happens behind the scenes, but it does happen. It does take place. And if you don't believe it, look into it. Please look into it. It does go hand in hand. And with that, my thing is, I want to protect the community. I want to make it safer. I want people to continue wanting to come here. The people that have second homes here on the lakes, they don't come here to have a city placed in the backyard. They can leave. We don't want to have an increase in inventory and housing because people don't want to be here. What does that mean? That means it reduces the value of our homes, and then we maybe have more affordable homes, but are we going to attract the kind of people that we want to come here? Probably not. Probably not. I would rather have to work harder and save more money and pay more for a house just to ensure that it is in a nice, safe community. I would like things to be more affordable. That's another issue. I do want to address property taxes. And by addressing property taxes and reforming it does not mean that I want to take away money from certain entities that are currently receiving, that are the beneficiary of those taxes. We can restructure a few other things. But just like Ron DeSantis, he's making homeowners their property tax exempt. Now, if you have rentals, that's a different story. But if you are a homeowner, you shouldn't be renting your home from the government. It should belong to you free and clear. And I'm not saying that we completely do away with taxes, not, to start up, because there is, I think, a ramping up period where you have to transition. But there are certain demographics that shouldn't have to pay taxes, or it should be capped. Enough on that topic right now. But I want to go back to the casino. And I know that I'm jumping around a little bit, but it's because it is so complex. So going back to the fact that casinos are predatory, one of the things that I want to highlight is that I also care about the individual that would be impacted by the casino. So typically this individual is, I will say, okay, I'm sorry. Let me back up just a little bit. There was a report, a study that was done. It was a 10-year study that was conducted, and they found that where casinos are, the main source of revenue comes from the local community, which makes sense. 90% of the revenue that they receive comes from 10% of the people that visit the casino. And that 10% comprises of problem gamblers and at-risk gamblers. And when you put that stumbling block right in front of them, it converts a lot of those at-risk gamblers to problem gamblers. And here's the issue that I have with that, is that these are our neighbors. This is our community. We should care and protect for the vulnerable. Those people that have the problems with addiction with gambling, they are often attached to a family and to an employer. And some of the most at-risk ones are our athletes, because they get a hit of adrenaline from winning, or the hope of winning, from that chance. So we are putting this stumbling block in front of them where they have some hope that they could win, only to lose. And then what does that do? That has a rippling effect of impact as well. So what it can do for that individual that puts their hope in the chance of winning money is that if they lose, what happens? They're disappointed. That can lead to depression. that can lead to suicide, and it does. It can lead to alcohol use, drug use, domestic violence, divorce, homelessness. These are all effects that gambling, it might seem fun, it may seem like entertainment on the front end to people that are not affected, but for the vulnerable, it has a huge wake of effect. And I care about the people that would be impacted by it. That is not me. That's not my family. I don't have a problem with addiction. I don't gamble. I don't care about it. If you want to gamble, I'm not preventing you from doing it. Go to, Firekeepers. Go to the other casinos. I just don't want it here. I don't want it in my community. It's readily available if you can afford it. Most people that gamble, the ones that are targeted, can't afford it. They're the ones that I want to protect. And not to mention that, so I talk about how beautiful this community is and the lakes that we get to enjoy. But one of the things that people don't consider is the impact on the environment. So some of the locations that they have identified for the potential of putting this casino would take up more of our natural resources. They would build it up. I know one of the prime locations is less than 2 miles from my home here, and it's up by the outlet malls. Okay, so we have the outlet malls that have been there forever. I grew up in this area when they came here. So that was in the 90s, and now they're dead. So they grew so much that the South had to continue, and they opened up the area north. And now those outlet malls, it has gone by the wayside. So what they're essentially telling you now, though, is that if you build it, people will come. If we can't make these outlet malls sustainable, what makes us think that we're going to be able to build a casino and it's going to do well? And once you've built it, you can't restore the natural resources that we had. And this will ultimately impact humans. If you destroy natural resources that contribute to the wildlife in the area, that affects our the birds and the butterflies and the bees, the ones that the pollinators. So think about that. Like, some people think that bees are insignificant. They're very important. They're very important to our food source. Birds are very important to our food source. And if you disrupt their environment, you'll endanger them. You'll endanger them, and then in the long run, you'll be endangering us and our food source. So whether you care about nature or not, you should care. But so that there's an environmental factor that we should be considering with this casino. There's a human factor, there's a social factor, there's a moral factor. Like, why would you want to cause harm to your neighbor? We should protect them. We should. And it shouldn't be all about money. Because if we open the door to a casino coming here, anywhere in Northeast Indiana, really, because I'm going to be against it no matter where. I'm going to stand with those that don't want it in their community. It affects safety. It affects people wanting to come to this community. So it'll affect tourism in a significant way. It'll attract the people that we don't want and attract the people that it won't attract the people we want. It'll attract the people that we don't want coming to our community. We don't want that. We really don't want that kind of traffic. So it's not going to help small businesses. Sorry, it's not. It's going to take away your workforce. It's going to drive up costs, and it's going to put you out of business. And here's the thing. When it becomes an eyesore, because a lot of brick and mortar casinos are going by the wayside, what are we going to do with that empty space? You can't return it to what it was. We need to consider that. We need to think about the long-term impact. And then to go along with that, if they offer those tax abatements and then it folds, we'll never see any of the money that they're promising. Just think about who's telling you what and whether they're willing to back that up. They haven't done an impact study. They haven't told us how it's going to affect all these different areas. And I've sent information out, and it has not been responded to. So next, guess what? I will probably be doing a petition to request an impact study. So if you want to be part of that, send me your contact information, how we can get a hold of you, whether it is by email or phone, whatever it is. I want to make sure that you are included. So if you're in this fight against this casino, I'm still in this fight too. And this is for all Northeast Indiana, whether you are in Steuben County, DeKalb County, or Allen County. And if you're for the casino still, after hearing all this, you either didn't listen to what I had to say or you don't care. And if you don't care, then this message is not for you. And that's quite all right. You can just disregard. But I will continue fighting against the casino because I care about the community. I care about the safety of the community. I care about the future of the community. And I know that one of the things is, well, okay, our kids are wanting to leave. That was one of the things that I heard. Our kids are wanting to leave because we don't have anything for them to do. A casino is not the answer. Why not look at family-friendly tourism? Why not look at what Trine University is doing as they're developing this future generation of talent? Why not align that type of industry, attract that to our community, create a pipeline where they can come and stay and flourish in this community? Why not focus on that? I had a listening session and got a whole list of ideas from the community on why they leave the community. There are options, but our elected officials don't listen. They don't listen. Our elected officials, our tourism, our economic development have been a very big disappointment to me. And if people knew, it would be a disappointment to you. I think we need new people across the board. People that care and will actually challenge the status quo. And I'm perfectly happy. And I think that's why so many people voted for me. I got 32% of the vote. I was only able to door knock on 25% of the houses. Given that, and given the bad press that I got from Mike Martorello with KPC Media, because he is for the casino, and given the fact that the people that are outspoken in the party, like Rick Michael, who just prevented me from being a delegate, he is for the casino. So he naturally is going to be against me and against me having a voice on behalf of you. But you know what? That's okay. We can still fight it and we can still be successful. We just have to get people to understand to vote no for the referendum. That is across Northeast Indiana. Vote no for the referendum. Your community will get the raw end of this deal. The state will benefit, the casino will benefit, but our communities will suffer. We'll have to pay for it, and it will impact businesses. It will impact residents. So please pass this along, share it, engage with it, and get your neighbors to vote no come November. Thank you.